We're turning now to Robert Gibbs, who comes to us from a different side of the street. He, of course, is the former press secretary to the current president, Barack Obama, and he's one of the senior advisors in the campaign. Robert, how does all this look to you right now? How are the Obama people feeling about this?
Well, look, I tend to agree with what Republican pollster who does national polling for the Wall Street Journal said this week. This entire process for them has become corrosive. I think it's become destructive. I think as you see them roll out tax plans that cut taxes for the wealthy and add trillions of dollars to our deficit, it drives independent voters away. So it's a fascinating process to watch.
You're also from Alabama. I noticed Governor Romney was trying to get in good with the folks down there in Alabama, talking about y'all and all that kind of thing.
Bob, I wouldn't normally give advice to Republicans, particularly Mitt Romney, but as a Southerner, I would tell him that kind of stuff doesn't really go over well in the Deep South. I will tell him this, he might not have heard this, but if somebody says they love the SEC, it's not the investigative body that looks into offshore Cayman bank accounts. In fact, it's the world's greatest college football conference. So I hope he'll sort of go with the flow if he's down there.
So where do you see this campaign going now? Do you think it's still going to be about the economy, and is it still going to be a referendum on President Obama, or is it more than that?
I do think that the biggest issues are going to be economic issues. I think you saw a good economic jobs report on Friday. We took another important step in a long road to recovery, and we've got a long ways to go. But we've created 3.9 million private sector jobs in 24 consecutive months of adding jobs to this economy, and that is tremendously important. I don't think it's going to be a referendum. I think it's going to be a choice, Bob. We're going to have a choice in this election about whether we're going to continue positive job growth or we're going to go back to the policies of cutting taxes for the wealthy and ignoring the middle class. Many of the issues and policies that got us into the mess we're trying to dig out from right now.
The president hadn't had much to say about the Republicans so far. It's almost, I mean, there was that cover on the New Yorker where he was sort of sitting back eating popcorn while they were fighting as if they were on a football field or something. Do you expect him to become more engaged in this campaign, or is he going to let them just fight amongst themselves?
Well, look, until we have a Republican nominee, I anticipate that the president will continue to do what he's been focused on since he got into office, and that is how do we strengthen this economy and put more and more people back to work. I think he'll watch, and it's clear that this Republican race is going to go on for quite some time. Not a matter of weeks, but likely a matter of months.
Do you think it will be Mitt Romney? Do you think that's inevitable, or do you think Gingrich or Santorum might wind up with the nomination?
Look, I think yesterday was instructive. A state like Kansas, when you've got the support of somebody like Bob Dole, but you don't do that well in Kansas, you get about 21, 22% of the vote like Mitt Romney does. I think it shows you've got some real problems on the road to this nomination. So I think anything is still highly possible.
Do you think it might actually go to the Republican convention? Do you think they might actually get there? I mean, I've been looking at these numbers. Romney keeps saying that it is inevitable, that there's no way that the other guys can get the nomination, get enough delegates before they get to the convention. But the way it looks to me, it may be difficult for Mitt Romney to get the number of delegates before they get to the convention.
Bob, I think you hit on it. They did a call this week to say the other two wouldn't get the majority that they needed, but they certainly stopped short of saying that they would have that majority before they got to the convention. I don't know. I think probably anything is possible, but I know if you look at what these candidates have been saying, tearing each other apart with negative ads, it is a process that in many ways has torn each of them down and I think has weakened them for a fall election.
Let me ask you a little bit about this situation in Afghanistan. Obviously, you're not in the White House now, but you're in very close contact with people there. What happens here? What's the president to do here?
Well, look, I think obviously this is a deeply regrettable incident, any civilian loss of life. And as your correspondent David Martin said, our primary mission over there is to protect Afghan civilians from the destructive nature of the Taliban. So again, this is a deeply regrettable incident. I know that the coalition forces over there are in the midst of an investigation, and our job is to do as much as we can to train the Afghans to secure and protect their own country and to continue the transition of giving them that responsibility so that we can bring our men and women home.
Robert Gibbs, always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.